Hello, everybody. Welcome for wherever you're listening in or watching in. Welcome to this EOP, Educational Opportunity Program information session, webinar, a number of different names for it. So thank you all once again for attending. I saw the registrations prior were almost 100 plus people. So we are excited to have all of you. Congratulations to our admitted students to the Educational Opportunity Program at Binghamton University for the fall of 2020, our first year in transfer students. And welcome as well to any parents. Welcome to any school counselors or consultants or CBO counselors, a number of different, counselors and representatives. Also, welcome to our prospective students. I know some of you I saw in the registrations are fall 2021, right? Maybe in your third year now, or you're looking maybe you're at a college, right, or university right now, and you're looking to transfer into Binghamton for the future semester, spring or fall of 2021. So, or maybe even beyond. So welcome to everyone here. We have a packed panel of some distinguished guests that I'm very, very happy that are joining us to provide you more perspectives about the Educational Opportunity Program here at Binghamton and to answer questions. We have our Q&A box take going on. So please send your questions in. Definitely keep an eye out if there's any specific questions that you see or you see an answer to already. And we will have a live opportunity to answer some questions there also. But just a little more additional housekeeping. Feel free to send your questions in. We're very happy to answer them. And you will hear perspectives from a number of our panelists as well. So I guess I'll start by just saying my name is Justin Brim. I'm an admissions counselor with the Undergrad Admissions Office. I have been working at Binghamton for 5 years. I'm a graduate of SUNY College, this great SUNY system, and I have traveled all across the country recruiting students. I'm one of the folks that review applications, first year and transfer applications for EOP. I've done that for a number of years. So I'm just really happy to be able to once again welcome everybody. What I'll do is I'll turn it over. We have our my fellow admissions counselors who will really be working the background for the Q&A. But let me just have them introduce themselves very, very quickly.
Hi, my name is Alexander Ma. I'm a New York City admissions counselor for Binghamton University. So I was just brought on with Binghamton recently this past year. I did also graduate from a university center within SUNY, and I've actually been reviewing a lot of your EOP applications too.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. My name is David Babb. I am the Assistant Director of Admission based in New Jersey. That's why you see my New Jersey thing, and I'm sorry you don't see my faces because I'm outside right now. I'm actually a graduate from the College of Brockport, another SUNY, and a graduate of the EOP program at Brockport. I've been at Binghamton for just about 2 years, and I am going to be in the background like Alex, answering any of your questions.
Awesome. So let me then turn over to our several of our staff from the Education Opportunity Program, and I'll start with Karima.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karima Leggett. I am EOP Director here at Binghamton University. I am a graduate of EOP at Binghamton University, and I'm happy to speak with you all this evening. You're welcome.
Let's see, who's up next? Anybody up next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Yolanda White Johnson, sorry, and I'm an EOP counselor. I have been with the university for quite some time. I've also graduated within the SUNY system. I work with the admissions office, and I am also the liaison to the financial aid and student accounts. So if there's questions about financial aid at some point, I try my best to help with that. But I also would encourage you to log on to the university's financial aid website.
Awesome.
Good evening, folks. My name is Joanna Cardona Lozada. I as well am a graduate from Binghamton University, and I've been an EOP counselor for 13 years. I am the liaison to our Decker School of Nursing, as well as the liaison to our pre-med, pre-health overall STEM programs.
Hi, everybody. My name is Akeem Samuels. I'm an EOP academic counselor. It's a pleasure to have you here. I am the liaison to XAE, which is our National Honor Society. It's Chi Alpha Epsilon. I'm also the residential coordinator of our summer orientation program. I am a product of EOP. I graduated from SUNY New Paltz, and I graduated with my master's in social work from Binghamton University. So it's a pleasure to meet you all. Thank you for joining in, and I hope you enjoy this session.
Awesome. And of course, we're very happy to have some current students here that are part of EOP here at Binghamton. So have them introduce themselves also.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Laquan Garvey. I'm a junior. I'm an H-STEM major, former peer counselor for BEP 2019, and former peer mentor for transfer students.
Awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Baina. I am an EOP student. I'm a sophomore studying mechanical engineering and minoring in Korean studies, and I am a peer counselor for the 2020 students.
Awesome. Well, thank you once again, everybody. So we'll jump right into it. Just really quickly, once again, send your questions into our Q&A. We're happy to answer them, and definitely take a look at several of the our EOP webpage on our Binghamton website, as well as our missions page for different things as you're watching. Really quickly, I'm going to go through the kind of admissions and application process, a little more about the Education Opportunity Program. As I mentioned, several of you are hopefully, looking to apply to EOP and enroll in an EOP in a later date, ideally, hopefully here at Binghamton. And then what we'll do is we'll get into a section toward the last part of the presentation, which is really highlighted for those who will be ideally enrolling at Binghamton in EOP this upcoming fall. And I think it will be helpful for everybody, no matter which section it is, but I just want to give you a little heads up of what the slides will be like as we go through. So let's get started. And I see the numbers of participants that are joining and increasing. That is awesome. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Just bear with me. That would be weird, right? First slide and the date's wrong. So happy Wednesday, everybody. So yes, let's talk about EOP here at Binghamton University, as I hide this as well. So as I mentioned, it's going to highlight mostly, firstly, of the admissions process for undergrad admissions, and then we're going to get into more information about the benefits of EOP here at Binghamton, especially for our admitted students. So yes, we're going to talk a little about the several W's in relation to EOP, right? The whys, the whats, the who's. We're going to talk a little about how to make yourself, how to apply for an education opportunity program, how to apply for EOP at Binghamton, a little more of that process and what it's like specifically at Binghamton, though I know it can apply to a number of different colleges and universities within SUNY and others that have EOPs or like programs within the state. And then there's some information, of course, in regards to admissions. If you are listening in, as I saw a couple registrations from those who either may be prospective students or admitted students who are not in EOP. What I mean by that is, for example, maybe you applied for admission to Binghamton and were admitted. Awesome, congratulations. But you weren't admitted through an EOP, and maybe you're on this session because you want to learn a little more about maybe how to be eligible for that program. We'll get into that process and some other opportunities that you'll have if you are either admitted to Binghamton or you're looking to apply to Binghamton in the future, but don't necessarily, or maybe you're aware that you might not be eligible for EOP. What is EOP? The Education Opportunity Program was founded in 1967. It's by Assemblyman Arthur O. Eve. It was actually modeled after the SEEK program in CUNY that was begun by Percy Sutton. A lot of really cool, famous names that have done some really amazing work over the years. And just that's the history of EOP. Just celebrated its 50th anniversary a couple of years ago. So EOP is longstanding in New York State, providing access to college for New York State students. Underserved and resourced in both educationally and economically. And that plays a role in the admissions and application process when we're reviewing students coming from different high schools and academic situations, not to mention their economic and financial situations. EOP currently exists on 48 SUNY campuses. There's been over 70,000 graduates since its inception. And us at Binghamton, our Michael V. Boyd, our EOP at Binghamton, named after Michael Boyd, who was the former EOP director from 1986 to 1994, currently serving a little over 600 students, including about 150 new first-year students or so every fall, depending on the year. That we also, of course, have that 150 can include a certain number of transfer students, so maybe it was 130 first-year students and about 20 or so new transfer students. It could be 150 or more first year and another 20 to 30 transfers. So generally you're going to find with EOP, it's generally between somewhere a little under or a little over 150 new students each fall semester. One really important thing about our EOP here at Binghamton is the retention ratio. I know you've doing your research on retention ratios in layman's terms. How well do students succeed, especially in their first years at their respective schools? And you need to know that Binghamton has one of the highest retention ratios in the country, especially for public colleges and universities. And when you look at EOP, we have one of the highest first to second year retention ratios, not just within EOPs at SUNY, if we're not the highest, but our retention ratio for EOP students is even higher than the students that are admitted through a general admissions process we'll get into later at many different public and private colleges and universities. So that's very, very key, very key. How well are students doing? They're getting the services that they need and want. They are acclimating really well to the college experience right in their first year. A lot of times you hear the first 6 weeks of the first year are usually the toughest to get through, whether you live 10 minutes away or you live 10 hours away or something. It's really about acclimating and getting used to the environment. And EOP does such a great job with helping you acclimate to the environment here at Binghamton. So as I mentioned, EOPs are offered at 48 SUNY campuses. These are the exceptions. This will come into play later. For example, if you are looking to, for example, transfer into Binghamton's EOP from another SUNY or another university within New York State, college or university, you just need to know that most SUNYs have EOPs, but there are a few that don't. One very important thing, each SUNY EOP is different. We are under the SUNY umbrella. The State University of New York is the largest university system in the country with over 450,000 students studying over 6,000 different programs, right? So this is a massive system, and we're all, of course, we benefit from being in SUNY, the largest university system in the country, but each SUNY and thus each EOP within SUNY is different, not just in size, not just in programming, but also enrollment goals, academic requirements and preferences. So not every single, EOP has the same, admissions requirements based on academic performance. There are, as you see with some EOPs that are in our community colleges, there may be some programs where it may be open enrollment. There may be some schools where it is SAT or ACT optional. So definitely please take a look at this website right here when it comes to learning more about the specific first year profiles for EOPs across the state or within SUNY anyway. What's very important, of course, is the eligibility for EOP. Students have to be New York State residents for at least 12 months prior to enrollment. Students have to meet, as I mentioned, it might differ slightly based on for academics, but when it comes to financial requirements, as it shows here in this table, it's very important that the students that are eligible for EOPs when they're applying are going to meet the financial economic requirements as shown, as highlighted by SUNY. Large majority of students must show proof of historic economic disadvantage. Now, this is important because up until only a few years ago, the economic information that admissions counselors and representatives needed for review to clear students for eligibility for EOP, we're looking at the most recent year. So for example, those who would be applying for fall 2020, they were looking at the information from 2019, right? But a lot of times, as you can probably imagine from those who had just did taxes and things of the like recently, that is a time crunch. You're applying, but a lot of times your families didn't necessarily have their tax or economic info available yet. So what part of the goal And the benefits of EOP are providing opportunity to students to show a historic economic disadvantage over a certain time frame. So what would we able to do? And Binghamton was kind of a pilot and proactive with this, is we introduced an opportunity to look at 2 years prior of your economic data. And then slowly but surely, the federal and state guidelines followed suit. So next thing you know now, as many of you who are admitted know, to be eligible for fall 2020, you had to provide 2018's information, what they often call a prior year. So it was 2 years prior, not just the prior year before, which a lot of times you didn't have information for. So once again, this is the table that generally shows in a certain household size, including head of household, and of course, including yourself, what's the total maximum threshold for income that can be made in that household. Why EOP? Why EOP? We talked about many of the benefits and why students will be interested in an EOP. But when it comes to students who are looking to apply as first year or transfer students, what you generally find is if you are looking to apply for EOP as a first year student, not just the historic economic disadvantage that students will have, but in addition to that, if you are applying just through the general admissions process, right? If you were just submitting an application, historically based on the mid 50% GPA, SAT scale, and like I said, some schools don't have that. Some schools have exceptions to that rule. You wouldn't have been eligible for the general, for admission through the general review process. So what EOP does is open that door. It says we're looking at some things different than just the numbers that are presented in the general process, and we're providing an opportunity for students to enroll at that specific college or university through the educational opportunity program. So it shows there where if you are familiar with our mid 50% GPAs and test scores for a lot of our incoming students for general admissions process, you might find mid to high 90s, but also SATs or ACTs in the 1300 plus range, right? Or ACTs above a 29. Whereas for admission into EOP, most of our first year applicants to Binghamton's EOP were admitted with high school GPAs between sort of 80 to 89, a little trending into the low 90s. Combined SAT scores above 1,000. That included about 500 on each section of the evidence-based reading and writing and math. And if you took the ACT, you can take either or both if you want. ACT composite scores generally were above 19. If you were applying as a transfer student, this is very important. Transfer applicants generally have been previously enrolled or currently enrolled in a New York State EOP type program at their current or former college. So once again, in addition to EOPs all across SUNY, we also have HEOP, higher education opportunity programs in many different private independent institutions across New York State, and the College Discovery Program or the SEEK program, which you'll find, for those who are familiar, in the City of University of New York, or CUNY. It's really about the benefits of EOP, right? And we'll get into this a little later. So I said I encourage everybody to hang on, even if you're a prospective student listening to the admitted session part of it, and then you're an admitted student, of course, listening to this part, which you've been through already during this past admission cycle. There are huge benefits of being an EOP student as you go through your educational, social, cultural experience at Binghamton University. And we'll get into that a little later. So when can you apply for EOP? Generally, applications are open mostly across the nation in August 1st. So in New York State, for the State University of New York, most of the universities and colleges within SUNY, of course, that means EOP. Applications will be available beginning August 1st for students that want to apply as transfers for the spring of 2021. There are some exceptions based on programs there, some programs only take students in a fall semester, and then the majority of students will apply for the fall semester, so fall of 2021 for first year and transfer students for undergraduate programs. This shows there are exceptions there, and those are the deadlines generally to submit for first year and transfer students. For EOP. Got to make sure you click EOP. So let's go through some of the hows of EOP when it comes to the application and admissions review process. So I'll start with transfers. You can choose the SUNY or common application. Very important is the EOP transfer verification form. And I'm going to, let me pause this real quick and go, I want to go to, okay, so by the way, here's EOP website in SUNY. This is that first year profile that I highlighted earlier. All right, so you can look at EOP information for first-year students for many different EOPs that are offered within SUNY. But I want to highlight, starting with transfers, this form right here, the transfer verification form. So as it shows, no matter SUNY or Common App, it's very important that you submit the EOP transfer verification form. This will be signed by a financial aid, educational opportunity program or like program, or academic professional at your current or prior institution where you were enrolled in EOP. If the program, if the school did not have an EOP or similar program, right, HEOP, SEEK, or College Discovery, additional information may be required. So those SUNYs, for example, that did not have an EOP, if you are attending those colleges, you fill out the transfer verification form, and it's partly signed by your academic advisor or financial aid advisor, and then you're able to send that through, and we will require some additional information if necessary. Very important that you're submitting the FAFSA. I'll get into some other opportunities for students who may qualify for New York State-based aid, including EOP aid. Financial aid, modest financial aid that is awarded. I do want to highlight here, and you'll hear about this later on, EOP is more of a support program, not just the finances. So it's very important to know this. I do get questions sometimes on students that say, well, I'm interested in EOP because it's going to give me a bunch of money. And sometimes they literally say it like that. And for whatever reason, you know, and you get different guidance and advisement from different sources, but it's very important that you know that EOPs across the state and other like programs as well, the main benefits of EOP are even outside of the financial grants or the financial aid that you receive, modest financial aid. You are, you know, as EOP students will be eligible for, most of the students are economically or financially disadvantaged according to state guidelines. And that's important when it comes to financial aid, but you do need to know the benefits of EOP are so much more than what is just provided via a grant or some type of financial aid. But students who are looking to transfer will submit the FAFSA, the large majority of which. Very important that you have your official transcripts from each institution attended, you know, not just maybe your current institution, but any college that you attended. And if you've completed less than 24 credits after high school at the time of application for applying to EOP at Binghamton University, it's very important that we're going to ask to see your high school transcripts and or official test scores as well. The large majority of students who are applying to EOP at Binghamton from a current or prior college usually have more than 24 credits, so we're going to be looking most at what you did in college. If you're applying as a first-year student, you can use the SUNY Common or Coalition application. You do have to submit the FAFSA for the academic year that you're applying to, or show eligibility for New York State aid. So I use the DREAM Act as an example. There might be some students who, based on their individual circumstance and status, may be looking to qualify as New York State residents for New York State aid, but would not be submitting the federal application, right? The FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. So you have to qualify or show eligibility for New York State aid, including EOP aid, right? And that will be take a number of forms, but mostly in that specific instance, I'm highlighting the New York State DREAM Act, which now is available through the Higher Education Services Corporation for New York State. I'm talking a lot, so let me just take a quick break here and show you. So if you are, for example, let's see, I have a few different things up here. Oops. There we go. Okay, yes, I want to show this as a option. So on the Higher Education Services website through New York State, if you are interested in applying for being eligible for New York State aid outside of your initial application through the federal application for FAFSA, this is, for example, an example of one of the other forms that you can fill out and applications that will determine your eligibility for New York State aid, such as tuition assistance program, and of course, aid through the Educational Opportunity Program. Okay. So if you're applying as a first-year student, you'll also hear some schools say freshman. I like to say first year, but if you're applying as a first-year student, so if you see me using those interchangeably, that's kind of what I mean. But if you're applying as a first-year student, we also, of course, want official high school transcripts from any high school you attended, including your current high school. We need to see SAT and or ACT scores. Now, like I said, based on the specific SUNY or the specific program that you're applying to or college you're applying to for EOP, there may be some that are test optional, there may be some that are open enrollment. But for Binghamton's EOP, we need to see transcripts and SAT or ACT scores. They can be self-reported through the application status checker or sent from the official testing agency. We are really about access and providing access, and that includes instances where, you know, instead of sending and paying to have your scores sent to all these different schools, Binghamton is one of those schools that allows you to self-report your scores through your status checker. It is at no cost to you, and then we will review that as part of the application and admissions process for EOP at Binghamton. It's only after you've deposited at Binghamton, confirm your enrollment at Binghamton, would we need to see the official scores. But right up front, you don't need to actually pay to have your scores sent. You can just self-report them through your application status checker. The EOP or Binghamton Financial Information Form. This is the form throughout SUNY that will show that you provide information regarding your household size, regarding your custodial and non-custodial parent, if there's one, information on if you are receive any type of temporary assistance or cash assistance, public assistance, or social services through your county or through New York State, where you would provide if you are in legal guardianship or ward of the court status or ward of the state status, any type of thing related to your individual status, if you're an emancipated minor, whatever the situation, if you have assets, how much, you know, how many people in the household, how many are working. This is the form that allows you to provide all that information. You want to be as accurate as possible. I'll get into that in a minute, but you want to make sure you're being as accurate as possible in that form, because that is a crucial form to determine if you are eligible for EOP at Binghamton. And then in addition to that, you also want to send in supporting documentation for what you provided on that form. So if you say, for example, there's 4 people in the household, including one parent, and that parent is employed and does file taxes, SUNY and the Application Services Center, and of course Binghamton's EOP, we're expecting to see that there is supporting documentation showing that you have one parent in the household that is working, file taxes for that given year that we're asking for, and then there's 3 other people in the household that are on those taxes, including yourself, right? Just to use a hypothetical. So the supporting documentation pretty much backs up your eligibility for EOP at Binghamton University. And this is, by the way, the EOP SUNY Financial Information Form. Okay, obviously it'll say 2021 for the upcoming year, but if you're applying as a first-year student, this is pretty much what it looks like. And it has all the different information regarding dependency, parents, household information, untaxed income like assets and the such, and they're generally looking for yearly income. So sometimes I'll find forms which have like, just say, it'll say Social Security benefits and it says $200 when it's actually $200 a month. So you want to put yearly amounts there, okay? Just as a little heads up. Child support documentation, for example, right? Assets and the like, okay? And there's a little checklist at the bottom, you know, that gives you more information about what you need to provide. Everybody with me this far? That's awesome. All righty. So some of those documentations I mentioned include taxes, right? Federal form, tax form 1040, any numbered and lettered schedules, 2018 year. So the taxes that your parents, for example, or yourselves in some ways will be filling out for this year, right? Already include not just lettered schedules like it has been historically, but also numbered schedules. So it's very important that when you submit tax forms and W-2s of the like to Binghamton through SUNY, right, you want to make sure that you're including any of the numbered schedules. Schedule C includes business income, if any of your people working are self-employed or own a business, and Schedule D includes like capital gains and things of the like, or losses. Schedule E tends to be related to real estate, if there's any real estate, whether you even own a multifamily home and you do rent part of it out, or you own different type of real estate. So we don't find too many of those situations when we're looking at review for EOP applicants, but if it's there, you need to make sure that you send it in. Verification of non-filing. If no one in the house is employed and does not file tax, or if you're not, if a custodial parent, for example, or even non-custodial parent in the household is not employed, we do need to see proof of that through the IRS. I'll get into an exception to that rule in a minute. But for the most part, if you on your financial information form say that no one in the house is employed, the first thing we need to see is the actual federal verification that nobody had filed taxes for that year that we're asking for. As I mentioned, some of you may have, your families may have specific other untaxed income. You may have child support documentation, either a legal document or something as an agreement between your parents. We need to see documentation of that. There may be court-approved legal guardianship, emancipation, award of the court status. Once again, we need to see documentation of that. If you receive temporary assistance, whether family assistance or safety net assistance, a number of different public assistance, we need to see the actual official documentation that shows that monthly amount or shows that you're approved for that. This can also include the SNAP program. So if you your family receives SNAP, this isn't necessarily part of the amount eligibility that will include for EOP, but it does paint a picture. So if you receive SNAP in addition to maybe one of your parents working, we need to see documentation that your family receives SNAP, because it does paint a picture for your eligibility and your economic circumstance. Once again, Social Security, SSI, different things. And this is a very important thing at the bottom: notarized letters for unusual circumstances. Every single year, more and more, we get a lot more notarized letters. And this is partly because there's a lot of different situations, unique, unusual circumstances that each household might have. And in order to assess your eligibility, sometimes it can't be in the form of like a federal tax form, or it can't be in the form of a specific legal document that is court approved or court ordered. So that's where notarized letters come in. So not does it only need to be signed, it also needs to be notarized by a notary public. And let me give you a perfect example, a very common example. As I mentioned, you may have a custodial and or non-custodial parent or parents that are employed but do not file taxes, just say based on a certain status, right? What we need to see in that case, because there will be no taxes being filed, we need to see a notarized letter from an employer for your parent that shows what the annual income is that they received, even though they're not filing taxes. If your parents just say are not employed at all and do not file taxes, we need to see a notarized letter from them stating exactly that. And in any case, hopefully there's other supporting economic documents which show what income is coming in. Sometimes I'll get a notarized letter that says, I'm unemployed, I do not file taxes, just say based on my status or something of the like, and I get assistance from family members, friends that add up kind of to this total annual income. Whatever the situation, this is an example of when we would need a notarized letter, because there's no kind of legal document that is showing that, is proving the eligibility. So these are the circumstances that we need. Make sure you send in your questions as well to our panelists that are online as well, if you have additional questions about that, okay? So I won't get into that too much more. Some of you are going to be applying to Binghamton. We love applicants to Binghamton. Some of you want to apply to Binghamton, or you're even admitted to Binghamton, right? But you, for whatever reason, have determined pre-application, either maybe during the application process, and then have been admitted even to Binghamton, and maybe potentially either eligible for Binghamton economically, but maybe you weren't eligible academically. Here's a perfect example. As I mentioned, the general admissions guidelines, right? The general admissions guidelines. There are some students who are economically, financially eligible for EOP if you look at their economic situation, but academically, they were admissible, whether met or exceeded the requirements, academic requirements for admission to Binghamton. And in those cases, we are looking in for EOP for the students who benefit from the services most. Everybody can benefit from being in EOP, trust me, but it's those, for the limited spaces that we have, who could benefit most for the support that EOP provides. So those who are admissible through the general standards academically might be admitted to Binghamton, but might not necessarily be admitted to EOP. Or maybe you find that you're a little over income or some circumstance. There are resources at Binghamton for you as well. So if you've applied to Binghamton and you realize that you're not eligible for EOP at Binghamton upon initial application, there is an opt-out form on your status checker that you can opt out and you can put yourself in the pool for general admission. Same thing if you're a transfer student and you've deemed that, okay, I wasn't in an EOP at my current school, but they did have an EOP and I'm no longer eligible to apply for EOP specifically at Binghamton. You can opt out and put yourself in the general admissions pool, and of course we will continue and review your application. If you've been admitted to Binghamton, there's some really awesome programs and services and departments that we have here at Binghamton for students in a number of different situations. Just say you're admitted to Binghamton, you're not admissible through EOP, you're admitted through the general criteria, but you are not just maybe economically eligible for EOP, but maybe you're also a first-generation college student. A number of different factors, maybe you're both. And this is where our TRIO student support services and other programs come into play. I'll highlight TRIO SSS really quickly. So this is an opportunity. Now, TRIO programs are federal programs. So what you'll find is you'll find TRIOs all across the country, student SSS, student support services programs all across the country. But at Binghamton, we also have a TRIO SSS and other TRIO programs such as McNair Scholars, graduate opportunities for students after they complete their undergraduate program. But I want to highlight TRIO SSS really quickly because as you see here, to be eligible for student support services at Binghamton, a student must either be considered first generation or meet income guidelines, right? And similar income guidelines to what you'll find in the state for New York State, right? But if you are admitted to Binghamton outside of EOP, right, you got into the general admission standards, there is an opportunity still to receive great services, whether that's mentoring, tutoring, academic support, social, cultural support through acclimating to the Binghamton environment, right, the Binghamton experience, summer program, different events where you can just scratching the surface of all the benefits that are available in TRIO SSS. But this is a program that I wanted to highlight where if you are eligible, you find yourself within one of these potential meeting one of these guidelines for eligibility, you can also qualify for some really great programs that are at Binghamton. So yes, the buck doesn't just stop if, for example, you're not admitted directly to EOP. Harper Edge Student Support Fund, you can get opportunities and grants to assist for research. We have our Undergraduate Research Center, which has research in every single discipline. As a top-tier research university, you need to understand that research is a staple here. And this is something that we encourage all our students, right? Admitted through general process, admitted through EOP, transferred to Binghamton, wherever you're coming from into Binghamton University, we encourage you to get involved with research and development. So these are some of the really cool programs that I encourage you to take a look at on our webpage, our first year research immersion program, our summer research immersion program, and our Source Project. Source Project deals a lot with first year research for students in the humanities and social sciences. So believe me, research is outside just of what you kind of consider STEM fields, right? There's many different research in many different disciplines. Summer Scholars and Artist programs. And if you are looking to transfer from Binghamton from some specific community colleges within SUNY, and I believe in CUNY, but definitely check our website to make sure. There is a great Bridges to Baccalaureate program where students can be engaged in research, and it's a nice pipeline in many cases to learn about Binghamton and top tier research that we're doing, and an opportunity to potentially move into a bachelor degree program here at Binghamton through a number of partner schools. So please take a look at those as well. So once again, I've kind of ended the prospective student potential applicant section of this presentation. Thank you all for once again listening and watching in. But let's turn to our admitted students. Congratulations to our admitted students for fall 2020. This next section is really going to highlight the benefits of EOP. The benefits of the Educational Opportunity Program here. And I've talked a little about them thus far. And then the next steps. Now that you're admitted to Binghamton, and some of you might even secured your enrollment, right? But what are the next steps for you as you head in ideally to enroll and become a Binghamton Bearcat this upcoming fall? I can't speak in a 5-minute, 10-minute, 2 or 3 slide presentation about the benefits of being an EOP student. As it showed, over 70,000 graduates since its inception. EOP is a unique program that is anybody that I have spoken to that has been a graduate of EOP, is a current student EOP, cherishes the opportunities that EOP provides, because it spans not just your undergraduate experience, whether it's coming from a 2-year school or 4-year school right here at Binghamton, but even beyond that. There's so many benefits once you actually complete your undergraduate degree and are able to go into grad study and professional degree study, and of course employment, right? But some of the support that our Binghamton EOP provides, and you'll find this with many other EOPs and other like programs that you may have applied to during this process this past year. But it really starts with the Binghamton Enrichment Program, right? It starts with the orientations and the enrichment program to prepare you in many different facets for what it lies ahead at Binghamton come this upcoming fall, right? So this is not just the academic preparation for the rigor of the institution in the classroom, but also kind of what to expect. What's the environment like at Binghamton, right? I talked about research and how as a research institution, you might not have been thinking about potential research, or you might not have been thinking about an additional program or different types of co-ops and internships in addition to what you might be for the field you're interested in. And this is where you begin to learn of what the experience will be like at Binghamton, what the expectations are academically, and what the social culture environment is at Binghamton through EOP especially. And it all starts right at that Binghamton Enrichment Program. And I know a lot of our staff and current students can talk a little more about that somewhat later. And once again, feel free to jump in any time if there's something I mentioned that you just want to quickly highlight about for our panelists. Our EOP Tutorial Center. A lot of you might think that tutoring is just to, I don't know, you need help with something in a specific course or something, so you feel like, okay, I'll go see tutoring. Tutoring in a college environment, tutoring at Binghamton University, tutoring in EOP is so much more than just that. It's about the understanding that you have for not just the courses, but once again, the academic experience that you have here at Binghamton. Our students and EOP take advantage of our tutorial center, even if they think they know everything it needs to know about a specific topic, specific course, or a specific type of expectation. They go to tutoring, they're part of tutoring, they become tutors potentially, also based on the support that is provided and what the expectation is for what the tutorial center can provide for students. We have our Chi Alpha Epsilon, our National Honor Society for students in the Educational Opportunity Program across Chi Alpha Epsilons throughout EOPs, not just of course in SUNY, of course. This program provides national honors opportunities for students beginning right here at Binghamton through their experience here. To be invited to be a part of Chi Alpha Epsilon is such a unique, is such a valuable experience, because it can carry on to so much more after you eventually become an alum at Binghamton. We have over 130,000 alum all across the world doing some really, really great things. And that's, like I said, I'm really scratching the surface of these programs. So just to kind of, touch on it really, really quickly. Career preparation, right? Not just academic preparation, but career preparation. So not just, of course, in the Fleischman Center for Career and Professional Development, but through your opportunities right within the Educational Opportunity Program department here at Binghamton. So there are opportunities for summer employment, for example, maybe being a part, working as part of the Binghamton Enrichment Program, or other opportunities for employment during the academic year through EOP. There is alumni mentoring, information sessions, recruiting. I mentioned all those alumni, and not just those alumni, but all their alumni that also are part and were graduates of EOP at Binghamton University. They connect with our prospective students and with our current students. This network is directly linked. So we have alumni who are involved in mentoring our current students. We have alumni who visit campus or virtually provide information sessions and kind of guest sessions where they can talk more about their field. And really big is also opportunities potentially for recruiting. You need to know that the distinguished alumni that are all throughout the state and all across the country, and even outside the country, that are EOP graduates from Binghamton, have these opportunities to connect and potentially recruit our current students for professional career opportunities after they leave Binghamton and EOP. As I mentioned, the financial support, right, that is there as well. So, of course, students entering EOP show a certain economic disadvantage based on certain state guidelines, right? So, of course, not just what you receive from your FAFSA and your tuition assistance program or your other New York State aid opportunities, but there are additional opportunities that are financial benefits from, of course, being an EOP student. We have our Michael Boyd Scholarship opportunity. We also have our students who are in foster care, entering into Binghamton EOP or previously in foster care, there is an opportunity for the Foster Care Youth Initiative to be a part of that and receive additional funding and services for undergraduate and potentially graduate study. And let me just highlight that really quickly. So this is the site, for example, through the New York State Education Department, which highlights specifically about the Foster Care Youth College Success Initiative. It shows eligibility, and then it shows where specifically funding can be used for a number of different facets, right? And it shows, once again, eligibility. So keep that in mind. You know what? I don't have a water bottle near me, and I feel like drinking some water. But more than importantly, would anybody like to highlight anything that I've talked about thus far related to the benefit? Anybody want to jump in about something more specific on this slide, or something of the like?
For those that missed it, I just want to add that I am the liaison to Chi Alpha Epsilon, which is XAE. So the eligibility for XAE, you must have a cumulative consecutive GPA of a 3.0 in the fall semester and in the spring semester. So once you attain that GPA, you will receive a letter saying that you are eligible. You have to pay a small fee of $30, and once you become a member of XAE, you get to brag about it, and it also gets just kind of like showcased on your graduating diploma and just like recognition.
Thank you, Akeem. I really appreciate that. Oh, sorry.
Justin, can I add a piece about the Binghamton Enrichment Program? Because I know that people are wondering about that summer bridge opportunity, but it is still on. So if you're on here and like you want to know whether or not that is happening, that is still happening. And I think we, as EOP, we know that this is the centerpiece of our program, especially for our freshmen as we introduce them to Binghamton University. And we understand what their eligibility was, and we know that we have a duty to make sure that our students are prepared to compete at Binghamton University. And so we will definitely still be holding on to that piece of our program this summer. So it's still on, folks.
It's still on. It reminds me so the first year students, yes, BEP is still on. And yes, as Akeem mentioned, and thank you, Akeem, and thank you, Karima, for your perspectives and your details in regard to those programs with XAE. Yes, it's a bragging right, right? Why is our retention ratio so strong? These are some of the opportunities that are available to students through EOP. Where you can take advantage of the unique academic and cultural opportunities and experiences that are afforded here at Binghamton. And then even when you eventually complete your undergraduate study and move on to grad study or professional schools or things of the like, right? So these are some of the benefits. It reminds me a little of my kids who are running around here somewhere. Actually, they're pretty quiet, so that's awesome. They weren't quiet on all my information sessions, but you know how like we're all, you know, kind of working virtually and they're having some schooling virtually and they're like, wait, do I really have to do this now that it's a virtual thing? Yes. So no matter the format that the Binghamton Enrichment Program will take, as Karima mentioned, the benefits of BEP really just carry on as you go throughout your experience here at Binghamton. So it really starts there. So yes, it's still on, and we're really excited to have you with us for that program.
Sorry, Justin, can you clarify the dates for BEP?
Sure, let me jump a few slides ahead, actually. Here we are. I'm going to go back, don't worry. But yes, for our summer Binghamton Enrichment Program, the current dates are July 6th through July 31st. There will be more updates if necessary, depending on, and of course, you're going to learn about our orientation sessions for our new EOP students on Friday, June 5th or Saturday, June 13th. But this is the most recent updates that we have as far as dates for our EOP orientation sessions and our Binghamton Enrichment Program. Anybody want to add something to that?
This is the only, or if you're an EOP student, these are the only orientation dates that you need to sign up for, and we will be sending more information out about them and what's involved. But these orientation sessions are free of charge to EOP students.
And you just choose one. You only have to choose one, either the Friday, June 5th, or if Saturday is better for you, Saturday, June 13th.
Yep, we're going to see you at BEP, so don't choose both orientation sessions because we're going to see you later on anyway. So yes, it'll be cool to see you twice. But yes, you only have to pick one. Let's go back. Let's go see what we had. Some of the other benefits of EOP, as I mentioned, right? The social and cultural benefits, the counseling that students receive on a personal level. It's not just that kind of academic counseling, right? And the academic advice, but it's also the personal counseling. How are you doing, right? In a nutshell, how are you doing? How are you navigating everything? As I mentioned, especially for that first year. And this applies to transfers too, right? The first year at Binghamton. So you might have already had, had your experience at your current college or prior college or university, and now you're here at Binghamton. And one of the benefits of EOP is really providing that counseling, that support to navigating your first year at Binghamton. You may be right kind of knee deep in your major already. For example, the Bachelor of Social Work program in our College of Community and Public Affairs is a program where students, the large majority of them, of course, enter into their third year, whether it's external or internal transfers. So they kind of hit the ground running. They're already, going on some of that generalist practice information that they're learning. So, a lot of times if you're transferring, you're going right into your core major, you may not be thinking about all the other stuff that's happening, and all that stuff kind of builds up. So do know that EOP is here for the personal counseling, the personal support, really just to kind of see in a nutshell, how are you doing? How are you navigating everything? Here's some advice on different ways to approach different things, not just academically, but like I said, outside the classroom as well. Skill development, mentoring and coaching. You heard of the, I talked about the alumni mentoring, right? The current student, the peer mentoring. This happens in many cases potentially within your residential living learning communities as well, but it happens in EOP as part of the Educational Opportunity Program. So there are financial aid opportunities. Well, before I go to that, I'll talk briefly about, actually, let me skip and go over some of the, I'll go back, sorry. So I mentioned the modest financial aid opportunities that are available. Once again, submit the FAFSA. If you're getting any specific emails about your FAFSA, make sure that you're reading those and listening about and really kind of paying attention to what they're asking for, because there may be verification type things they're asking for. If you are applying or want to receive New York State aid but did not submit the FAFSA, please make sure you are filing for eligibility to receive New York State aid, which includes Education Opportunity Program financial aid. So there are many post-undergrad opportunities as well. You can, through being an EOP student, receive, for example, fee waivers or reductions for professional graduate school tests such as the GRE and other graduate study opportunities as well, graduate applications. There is the Graduate Opportunity Program where students can receive services and funding for graduate school in many different things throughout SUNY, right? So a number of Binghamton students go on to graduate school, and that could be at Binghamton or other SUNYs, and students have the opportunity as EOP students on the undergrad level to continue that opportunity on the graduate level. There are additional funding and opportunities through EDPS, Economically Disadvantaged First Professional Study. So we have some students that are looking to go into law schools and med schools and other professional schools as well, and have this opportunity because they were also in EOP. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a great trio SSS here, in addition to EOP here at Binghamton University, but the federal trio programs, the McNair Scholars and other trio programs span in the graduate level too. So as an EOP student, you have an opportunity to still potentially apply and be eligible for federal trio programs on the grad level for your grad or professional study. So before we take some questions and timing, yeah, we're about 5:52 or so, so we good. I think we're pretty good. We may go a little past 6, so hopefully everybody's still with us. But yes, for next steps, make sure you confirm your enrollment. We, as admitting you to EOP, we want you here at Binghamton University. We want you to be a Bearcat this upcoming fall, and we're excited to have you in our Binghamton Enrichment Program, and we're excited to have you in fall when it begins in August. So make sure that you're securing your enrollment reply. You do not have to pay the $350 enrollment fee. You can just, through your application status checker, say, yes, I want to enroll at Binghamton and I want to enroll at EOP, and we will take care of that. It's usually about a 24 to 48 hour lag time, and then you will be officially confirmed as a Binghamton student for the upcoming fall. For those who are applied as transfers and are admitted as transfers, maybe even through this process or later on in April, it can go a little past May, depending on when you were admitted, but definitely make sure if you know you want to be at Binghamton and you want to be a part of EOP, make sure as an admitted student you confirm your enrollment. Set up your Binghamton email account, EOP, financial aid, housing, residence life and housing, health forms, new student programs for orientations and such, right? And I said there's EOP orientations, as it shows below. They're going to be communicate with you. They're largely going to communicate with you almost solely through your Binghamton email account. So if you are confirming your enrollment, make sure you set up your Binghamton email account so you can get the appropriate emails. You can get stay on top with deadlines. You want to make sure you get to have one of those part of one of those orientation sessions for EOP. But reminders about that and such are going to be not just through your admissions email that you set up, but as an admitted student, as an enrolled student, you want to make sure that you set up your Binghamton email account. That's where they're going to be communicating with you. Make sure you send in any final transcripts. It's important, of course, if you have college credit out there, you want to get credit for that, but send in your final high school transcripts, official scores, AP score reports, dual enrollment, college transcripts, and the like. And as I mentioned with financial aid, make sure that you are looking at all the emails in relation to if there's anybody is asking for more verification documents via your FAFSA. If there's maybe not a signature on the FAFSA or something to the like, and they need that, make sure you're staying on top of that. If you're applying for the New York State Aid, Excelsior, New York State DREAM Act, as I mentioned, to be eligible for New York State Aid, the Higher Education Services Corporation is where to do that. And if you have any external scholarships, I was talking with a school counselor. His student was admitted to EOP for Binghamton. Maybe you're watching and listening in, congratulations. But they received a scholarship through the College Board, and I believe it was up to $10,000 a year. That's amazing, right? But do know that if you have any external scholarships out there that you've either been awarded or have applied for, if you get noticed, you got to make sure you let Binghamton know, because if you're going to be at Binghamton, you're going to be at EOP for this upcoming year. We need to know, as that'll be a part of your financial aid award in some case or fully. So loans, external scholarships, make sure you're on top of that for if you receive anything like that or are going to be applying for that. And as I mentioned, just once again, a reminder, EOP orientation sessions, pick one, are going to be Friday, June 5th or Saturday, June 13th. And that's right around the corner, as is our Binghamton Enrichment Program, July 6th through July 31st. Make sure you keep those dates in mind.
Justin, can I add that also, usually we take our show on the road and host our orientations in other cities just to ensure that students and their families are able to participate. But these opportunities this year, because our health and wellness is a top priority, are going to be offered online. So at the orientation, we'll have a lot more details to be able to share with our students there. But June 5th, and June 13th will both be EOP orientation events that will be held online, similar to what we're doing here today.
Thank you. So before I take some live questions, thank you again to everybody who's been sending questions in. Hopefully it was a nice amount for everybody to answer. And welcome Craig, our Associate Director, as well from admissions. Hello. So yeah, I want to turn over to Baina, I want to turn over to Laquan. Would you like to provide maybe a little more perspective, maybe what made you choose Binghamton University, how it's been thus far, not just in Binghamton University, but of course being a part of the Educational Opportunity Program, and maybe just some little thoughts about where you're looking to do outside once you eventually complete your undergraduate and potentially graduate study at Binghamton.
I'll go. What made me want to come to Bing? Well, other teachers in my high school went to Frederick Douglass Academy in Harlem, and a lot of my teachers went there, and so I already heard a lot of good things there. And so doing my research and actually visiting Binghamton, I was like, I like the environment. I like the area. There seems to be a lot of things to do there. And so I'm like, what, I can definitely see myself, attending. And so I applied, thankfully I got into EOP. And so, that was my decision, and that was kind of what led me here. What were some other questions you mentioned?
Well, so how's things been going thus far? What are some of your goals as you, continue on through your undergraduate study here and maybe look to eventually as you then transition out?
Yeah, so I've been here, I'm a junior, so I've been here for 3 years. This has been probably a life-changing experience, and that's in due part thanks to EOP. I always tell Karima, I tell her all the time, kind of person I was as a freshman is drastically a different person that's standing before you. And kind of just the resources and the emotional support given by EOP has allowed me to kind of flourish and just being a part of so many different organizations on campus. And also in regards to what I'm gonna do after Bing, I intend on actually one day becoming an EOP counselor myself. So yeah.
Okay. If that was news to any of our EOP staff, it's like, oh, you're gonna be an EOP, okay, joining the family, okay.
That's fantastic. That's great.
That's awesome. Baina, how about you?
So I chose Binghamton because they have an exceptional engineering program. Also, it's very close to my home, like 5 minutes from my house.
That's
so
good.
I have always heard about Binghamton, but at first I didn't want to be at home because no one wants to be at home. So I had thought, I visited many colleges, and every time I came back to Binghamton, I'm like, oh, I love my home. So I decided to come to Binghamton. In regards to how everything's going fine. It's a lot of studying. I think our school did a really good job of transitioning from in-person to online. I'm kind of enjoying it.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Aspirations, I think you asked about.
Yeah.
I just want to do academically well. I want to increase my Korean studies. That's about it. And in terms of what I intend to do after, I just want to do something beneficial. I've always wanted to work at NASA since I was like a kid. So that is something I would like to do. I'd like to be a mechanical engineer for NASA.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's there was a documentary on Netflix actually. It was about like this space camp through NASA space camp, and they have like those who want to prepare, and they kept talking about going to Mars, and they're the generation that's going to eventually prepare in many different ways, mechanical, of course, engineering, those in NASA included, about preparing for it, not just like maybe getting back to the moon, but really taking it further and going to Mars. So that's amazing. Great dream, great thing. Just continue following that. Anything anybody of our staff would like to add before we get into some live questions? Okay.
No, you did a great job, Justin.
Oh, thank you, Yolanda. Appreciate it. Thank you. So let's see, and thank you all. Thank you all for your perspectives. Thank you all for what you added to the presentation, in addition to answering all the questions that students will have. And I see there's still 31 students on file, so or students or families or counselors. So once again, thank you all for listening in. So a few more things as we hit 6 o'clock. Let's take some questions. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna move this window over a little bit. I like this question. It starts with hello. Hello to you. Once we're admitted into EOP, and let's say 1 year our family income passes a bit above the income requirements, will we be taken out? Can I just emphatically say no? Yeah.
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to start with the no. You are admitted into EOP, you are a part of the Educational Opportunity Program and all the benefits that it provides. Now, you have to fill out your application, however that may take, right? Whether through, FAFSA and or, TAP and other eligibility, right, for New York State aid. You have to do that every single year. And that's where some parts of your financial aid may change, but do know that if you have questions about that in any way or just concerns, not just a financial aid office right in Binghamton, but you turn to your EOP counselor, turn to your peers who have experiences with that as well. So no, you're in EOP and we want to keep you in EOP and we want you to thrive in EOP. Anybody want to add anything to that? No? Okay.
No, Justin, you've answered that perfectly.
Okay, well, thank you. Another hello. Everybody's so nice on this. I like this. I really enjoy it. It says, hello, I'm a senior who was accepted through EOP. Congratulations. And although my financial aid package was great, I still can't afford it. Is there anything I can do? Okay, great question as well. Some of that might apply to several folks here who may have questions about that. One thing I would say is that when you look at your initial financial aid award, please make sure you reach out to our financial aid counselors. And here's the reason why. In this virtual format that a lot of us are taking a course and working remotely, they are having direct consultations with a financial aid counselor through their website right now. They have a number you can access. Go to the financial aid page and you can actually have a direct consultation with a counselor. There are special circumstances. Some of you might have your families, someone in your family, you yourself may have lost their job in lieu of COVID-19. There may be something going on that is a little different than what has traditionally been happening in your household. And you want to potentially be eligible for more aid. Or if everything might be kind of going the same, but you just want to see if there's other things out there, there's other opportunities that you want to take advantage of, please make sure you reach out to our financial aid office. They're having direct consultations with counselors. A lot of times, first you have to go through kind of the call center, which they do great work, but you go through the call center and then maybe you get to a counselor, right? Here's an opportunity where you can have direct consultations with the counseling staff as everybody's working remotely. So please definitely do that. Is there anything specifically related to EOP that anybody like to add about potential additional financial resources or anything?
Well, I'm gonna attempt to answer this. I've been in similar situations during my time here. So the thing about Binghamton, they have their own list. They have their own like database of their own personal scholarship that they give out. And I think for students based on your GPA, even incoming, they may be more inclined to give you certain scholarships based on the GPA that you have. There's also donor-based scholarships. So if you fit certain criteria, you will automatically get those scholarships if they choose you. And then there's just other flat-out scholarships you apply for through Binghamton. If you get chosen, it will give you those as well.
Okay, thank you for that.
EOP spends a lot of time talking about financial measures at the EOP orientation. I think one of the things that oftentimes students have to remember is that they're looking at an estimate of how much it can cost. And we actually have a section where we talk about how we can save money. So how we can get certain things down. I know someone's asking about the meal plans, and we talk about that, what the default is and how they can change that, or what their housing is like and where they chose to live and how those rates change as well. So we do spend some time talking to students about some of the things that they can control regarding to their bill, but they have to remember that they're looking at an estimate at this time. So it includes a large amount of things.
And keep in mind something, sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to add that most EOP, if not all EOP students are given work study. So if that's something that you can take advantage of, we definitely encourage you all to apply for positions on campus, leadership positions, so that you're not only gaining that experience, but you're also gaining an income, and you're building that network with other professionals on campus. People have also found other jobs on campus, so it doesn't have to be work study specific or related, but you can find other opportunities to kind of like get extra funding.
Thank you, everyone. So I know those, I know Karima kind of addressed the meal plan and how you don't necessarily get a certain meal plan. I know the question kind of highlights, do you get a certain meal plan? But there is guidance and advisement on ways to, once, as Karima said, save money in many different little facets like that. And part of that might be based on the dining plan that you receive or choose. Does EOP help with finding employment only near campus or also where we may live? Okay, well, I know that can apply to many different situations, right? I can't remember exactly if Laquan, you had mentioned where you're from. I know Baina mentioned you're from only about 5 minutes away from Binghamton. So no matter where you're coming from throughout the state, right, into EOP, EOP is a resource for helping you to navigate kind of the professional development, not just employment for career, but even current employment, right? Not just employment on campus, but employment in mostly within the right off campus, depending on, especially if it's during the academic year. But if you were thinking like, if that question applies to, for example, if somebody's like, how do I get a job back home, like during a summer or something? Yes, turn to your EOP staff, turn to your peers, because especially your upper level students, right? In many cases, even your alumni mentors, they will assist you with ways to navigate and be a better candidate potentially for the jobs that you're applying for. If anybody, feel free to jump in as well with that. But I think, no, you got to lean on your staff. You got to lean on your peers in EOP to assist you with the preparation for not just maybe an on-campus job or a job right off the campus during the academic season, but even when you are home, wherever that may be in the summer.
Mm-hmm. Laquan, I didn't know if you wanted to add something here, because Laquan has a couple of jobs on campus, one of them being a resident assistant, which comes with housing. Is basically room and board is covered because he works as a resident assistant on campus. And so that's no housing charge and no meal plan necessary. Yeah,
that definitely helps when it comes to paying for stuff. I'll tell everybody, especially those who are, dealing with financial issues, is to do your best to become an RA. if you guys accept and decide to come to Bing, come find me. You know, the counselors will probably lead you to my direction, and I always do my best to help, you know, people get in, at least assist them in the application process, because it's very competitive, given all the benefits that come with being in RA.
Mhm.
What year do you have to be an RA? Let me just do a quick follow-up because I see that here.
All right, so your freshman year, you can apply your freshman year, and then you'll be an RA for your sophomore year, but you know, that's how it works.
Okay. And we have a number of residential living learning communities, so there are jobs available, but it is a very popular job. So you got to make sure you get your application and do everything you need to do. Let's see. What should I do if I have a car? Since first year parking is not available. You have a car? Let me stop. No. All right. So, so wait, what should I do if I have a car since first year parking is not available? Yeah, leave it at home. You know, I think through our shuttles, through the opportunities you'll have being on campus, very active campus community, over 450 clubs and organizations, so much going on, of course, academically. If you're involved in research, if you have employment on campus or anything of the like, you're going to be really, really busy. And, you know, I mean, yeah, if you're away from home and you have a car, yeah, that's always useful. But I'll be honest, in Binghamton, this kind of greater Broome County area where Binghamton's the central hub, you don't really need a car. If you want to bring it the following year when you have the opportunity to either stay on campus or live off campus, and either way you have the opportunity to bring a car, then you can kind of judge based on that first year if you think a car is necessary. I know a fourth year student right now, he's about to graduate. He actually has a car, and he did not bring it any year that he was here. He actually, through the first year, he assessed and said, you know, I really don't need one. And based on everything I'm doing, I'm going to be here most of the time. So he was perfectly fine, like in that instance, getting home another way without necessarily having to bring his car and be responsible for gas and parking and every other thing, you know, and people asking for rides and a number of the different things that you can imagine. So I think you assess that during your first year, whether you need a car, you probably don't. But yes, after that first year, you can kind of reevaluate that if you want to. A couple other questions. Let's see. This one is good because I think we talk about this. Hi, see, hello. I'm a senior who was admitted to EOP as well. Congratulations. What is the academic counseling like for students who don't know what they want to major in or are having trouble deciding what they want to pursue? And also, if we haven't had a chance to visit campus, are there ways to familiarize ourselves with the campus? So let me start with the latter really quickly. We are having webinars and information sessions and virtual opportunities all throughout this month. We've had some already, so definitely, and we will be providing recordings for admitted students as well. So please take advantage of our links that we have to get a sense of virtual tours, residence life and housing videos, and other opportunities to get a sense and feel of campus. Hopefully this session also lets you know a little more about what the environment is like, especially as an EOP student in Binghamton. But there will be opportunities for you to familiarize yourselves with campus. That's a great thing about the EOP orientations will be for as well. Let me really quickly talk about just generally how academic counseling and the environment might work. And then if anybody from EOP, current student staff, would like to jump in about how you approach the academic counseling, you please definitely do so. So I do know that we encourage exploration. So you might have 1, 2, 8 different things that you're interested in, and you don't know how to make that work into an undergraduate program, right? So do know that when you get here, especially entering through our Harper College of Arts and Sciences, where over 60% of our students are enrolled in, you have opportunities through our advising office to be able to go to workshops, go to programming, and directly consult with an advisor, even peer advising, for what program might suit you best. Strengths, weaknesses, likes, dislikes, right? Maybe not really a math person, but honestly, if you go and actually use some of the resources available, maybe you can do really well in a math course, which can lead to a math major, which can lead to a career in mathematical sciences and beyond. So a lot of times it starts right directly with the support that's right available to you. And every student here in EOP and outside of EOP has advising and academic support to find a program that suits them best, or a number of programs. We have a double degree programs. We have accelerated programs. You can get a bachelor's undergraduate degree and a master's degree, graduate degree from Binghamton in an accelerated time frame. And obviously that ties into economic financial value as well. So keep that in mind, that just off the basis, like just generally, there's a lot of opportunities for you to kind of explore and get advisement on that. And I'll turn it over to EOP if anybody likes to add something more.
Yeah, to answer I think the second question about getting a feel of the campus, Binghamton has a YouTube page, and it does like aerial tours, and it kind of just gives like the campus pretty much. You can kind of look at it from different angles, so you can get a better feel of how it looks physically. So once you get here, you kind of won't be confused. And then there's also links on the Binghamton website as well that kind of gives you like similar tours and whatnot as well. How I approached counseling, the academic counseling, I kind of just like went there and just said, hey, and just started a conversation, which isn't the easy thing to do. So you could pretty much come there with almost anything, really. Like if you're feeling stressed about academics, you just need someone to talk to, it's pretty much how you utilize the EOP office and the EOP counselors is pretty much up to you guys.
Awesome. So we are at 6:15, but honestly, several of these questions are really good. So if anybody needs to jump off, please do so, but we still have over 30 people here, and I'd like to get to these questions. So if everybody's with me, let's get to these really cool questions. Andres Rodriguez actually just threw his whole name out there, didn't go anonymous. He said yes. He said, I'm a senior admitted to EOP too. He said, low key, I want to congrats. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
There we go.
Yay!
But he had a really good question. Will we have to switch residence halls, right? Will we have to switch residential communities or dorms once we move from the summer program BEP to the spring semester?
Yeah.
Anybody?
I'll go. Traditionally, that does happen. So when students arrive in the summer, they live with us in one building. Once the fall semester begins, students are all across campus in different residential communities, so they do move, and it's great because it's an expansion, it's increasing their circle, they're learning and living with a different number of people. This summer specifically, I can't necessarily say this right yet, but by June 5th, I'll have an answer about where you will be living for this experience this summer.
Awesome. And to piggyback off of that, an anonymous attendee, want to keep anonymous for this question, I guess, but no, asks, what exactly do we do in the BEP? and what day do we need to be there?
Oh man.
We have tons of fun.
What? You've never heard of the Binghamton Enrichment Program? That's great. I think the Binghamton University EOP program offers the summer program as an experience for our pre-freshmen to transition into the collegiate experience and what that feels like. And we hire a host of current students, academic coaches, instructors, faculty that sort of assist in this guidance. So this is usually a living and learning experience where our students also have the opportunity to earn credits toward their college degree for free. During this program, it is the only full expense anything at Binghamton University, and so EOP is happy to offer that as an award, as a scholarship opportunity for our students to get this kind of experience and to get a head start at their first year in college, because they begin their fall semester, their first semester in college with a Binghamton GPA, with Binghamton University credits, with networks to faculty across the campus in different majors, and knowing a bunch of continuing students and the EOP staff extremely well. And so that is a huge goal for the Binghamton Enrichment Program, but it's something that we hit and exceed in every summer. And this summer will not fail us. We will have the opportunity to make that happen this summer for our BEP 2020.
Vaina, could you share what you thought BEP was like for you?
Yeah, I wanted to. From my point of view, I think BEP was really beneficial to coming into college. I don't think I would have transitioned as nicely and smoothly as I did if not for BEP. It is the college before college. You're going to be taking your classes. You're going to learn what it's like to stay up to 3 a.m., to have to write something. You're going to be up in a room with people you don't know, but you're gonna make friends. And honestly, there was a question asking, will you be like socially isolated from everyone else? No, you will not be, because even if you are unable to make friends on like in your dorm, for example, you have those EOP friends that you definitely have made and turn out to be more like a family. Even if you don't talk on a regular basis, just walking past them, there's a hi, there's a hug, it's a family. You learn to adjust well to college, but you also learn how to adjust to your new family.
Great answer.
Awesome. Let's see. Couple last ones, and let's see. Hello, I applied to the accounting major, but got accepted to EOP through the Harper College of Arts and Sciences, which doesn't have accounting. Would there be a way to get into SOM with EOP? Absolutely, absolutely. With beginning your coursework in Harper College of Arts and Sciences, and you take many of your general education, liberal arts and science requirements that includes prerequisites for the School of Management, students have the opportunity to what they call IUT, internally transfer. And honestly, you may like a program in Harper that you may want to look into more of a accelerated master's program for School of Management at a later date. But just say you want to, you still laser focused on School of Management. In the School of Management, there are 4 prerequisites that you need to complete, which include statistics, calculus, and microeconomics. And those are offered and available in the Harper College of Arts and Sciences. So many students that start in Harper College that do have their sights set on potentially another school within Binghamton University on the undergraduate level, if they're not double degreeing in it potentially, they do have an opportunity to apply for an internal transfer to that other school at a later date. But it all starts right there in Harper. You have the opportunity to do so. I know one of the exceptions is the Watson School for Engineering and Applied Sciences. There will be a small cohort of students that are admitted into EOP that will begin BEP and complete BEP that will be directly entering into the Watson School upon the completion of the summer program. But the large majority of our students, of course, admitted and enrolled into EOP will begin their coursework in Harper. And in many cases will stay within Harper, of course, right? But they may look for something in public affairs. They may look for something in nursing. They may look for something in the School of Management at that question addressed. Okay, maybe we do one more question. We're at 6:20. Let's see. I'm a transfer student from CUNY and in the SEEK program. Hello. And we were given a grant that covers costs of books and a grant to cover some tuition fees. Does EOP provide that also?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you just got to make sure that you're submitting upon admission to Binghamton. Make sure you're submitting, if you didn't already, submit your FAFSA or the eligibility opportunity that you have to receive New York State aid like EOP aid that will receive directly from EOP in addition to your other financial aid, and we would go from there. But yes, similar to SEEK in CUNY, there are grants that do assist with textbooks and tuition fees and some other expenses of the like.
Just to piggyback off that, please, Justin.
Yes.
Transfer students who are coming to an orientation that the university is providing are very welcome to do that. And they are able to connect with our office if they choose a transfer orientation, say in June or July. At that time, you are able to tell us to process your book stipend for you so that we can have it ready for you in August when you arrive to campus. So it's very beneficial that if you are going to participate in the university orientation in July or June, to let us know that you are going to do that so that we can meet up with you, and we will also help you with understanding registration and how your credits will transfer to the university. We also offer another transfer orientation specific to EOP for our transfer students so that they understand what it's like to be at EOP at Binghamton University. It's usually very different from the EOP office that they are transferring from, and we want to welcome you and make sure that you transition very carefully. And again, if you are joining the transfer orientation in June or July, to let us be aware of that so that we can process your book stipend for you when you arrive in August.
When classes begin.
When classes begin.
When classes begin, yes, sorry.
I think that was, very last question. It says, do you get to pick classes for BEP, such as classes towards your major, or the classes gen eds that we don't get to pick? And I'll use that as the last question.
I mean, I can answer that real quick because I went through BEP. So sort of, so you definitely have to take a math class and you definitely have to take a writing class. Those off the bat, you have no choice. You got to take both. Usually you have a third one, and then you can mention what you prefer, but based on the size of the class, you may or may not be able to get in. So there's like HDev, you know, sociology. There used to be geography, you know, but whatever. Yeah, so there's a plethora, and like if you're interested in like chemistry because it's like toward your major, you can ask, but those classes usually get like filled up pretty quickly, so you may not be able to, you know, get into those ones. But definitely for math and writing, that's off the bat you have to. But there is some leeway in regards to choosing your third one.
If I'm not mistaken, when you are first put into the classes, it's based off what your chosen major is, if I'm correct, Karima. So I was in for engineering, so I was put into chemistry. For me, I suggest that you stay in the class that you're in because it's probably beneficial to the major that you have chosen. They took some time in choosing where you need to be.
Thank you, Baina. That was great.
You're welcome.
Okay, so yes. Oh, can anybody really quickly answer this one as a piggyback? Are there placement exams that need to be taken to determine what classes you were put in as a first-year student once you're accepted? They probably mean once you enroll, once you officially confirm your enrollment.
Well, there is a math placement test that we like to do because it helps us understand where we should put you for your summer class, and then your summer class, your math course determines where you're going to go in the fall. So the pre-test is just to figure out where you are. We don't allow any calculators for that, just because we're trying to get a true understanding of where your skills lie. And then we place you in a class for the 4 weeks or the 3 weeks that the program is. And then during that 3 weeks that you are working with your math tutor and your math instructor, you can determine what class you're going to be in. If you already have your calc course from AP or transferring it in, then it's very unlikely that you would take a math course in the fall because you've kind of already completed that particular gen ed.
There's also a calc placement exam for students who would like to register for calculus in the fall. So you need to be able to pass that exam in order to take the class. So that's a second one for the fall.
Okay, well.
And I'm sorry, just to let you know, calculators aren't allowed at Binghamton.
Depending on your major.
Chemistry.
Depending on your
chemistry.
Yeah.
No calculators, no cars for your first year. Well, yeah, please everybody, thank you again for listening and watching in. Thank you to our panel for the questions that they answered, for the perspectives and the guidance that they provided. But there's so much more. We have our virtual tours. We have our aerial tour through our YouTube channel, as was mentioned earlier and provided here. We have virtual tours going on. We have chat hours for students. So if you want to chat with a admissions counselor, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, please make sure you go to our admissions webpage and you'll be able to access that link. If you are interested in talking with a current student, Wednesdays, I believe, of 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time, we have this option as well. Click that link. Reach out to the EOP office. I think I don't even have the screen up. Sorry, let me go back to that really quickly. Let me see, where is it? Oh, I guess that was over. Sorry. Oh, there it is. Sorry about that. So yes, if you have specific EOP admissions questions, make sure you email EOP-admit, no space, EOP-ADMIT at binghamton.edu. You may have something very specific that you want to ask still related to admissions, right? You know, like, oh, where do I deposit or something? You can definitely do that. If you have a question for the EOP office, please email EOP, so no admit there, EOP binghamton.edu. Once again, our virtual sessions will be happening all throughout this month, so please take advantage of that. And for our prospective students, there will be more in the near future, especially as we navigate all this bit really better. You'll get more information, of course, about the Binghamton Enrichment Program. You'll get more information about the orientations to begin with. And of course, reach out to a financial aid representative if you have specific questions about your financial aid, not just situation, aid award, or other opportunities that are available to apply and be eligible for aid as you hopefully enroll into Binghamton. We'd love to see you here in the fall. So with that, once again, thank you everybody, and we enjoy the rest of your week, and we hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Go EOP. Congratulations. Bye.
You guys were fantastic. Thank you.
So were you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.